This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. It's a fascinating news day, if not a huge news day, because there's so many interesting stories going on. And I'll sort of work through those 12 stories that we're following today. First, the markets were slightly down yesterday, fairly flat this morning. Now they're pointing up a little bit today. We'll see how the day goes. Again, January 10th, 2024. Second story is Apple, and there's a fascinating story in the Telegraph about how Apple faces its biggest crisis since the iPad. And the real crisis is, the article discusses how consumers are waiting to purchase their iPhones. And this resonated with me. It basically says people used to buy the new hot iPhone quickly. Now they buy it when theirs is broken. And that's certainly the case in our family. The two latest iPhone upgrades have been when things started to not work well on the phones. The article also discussed the reemergence in China of serious competition from Huawei, Huawei. I can never pronounce it right, but Huawei is seriously competing for phone sales in China, just like Tesla is seeing serious competition from BYD, the electric car company in Tesla. There's a great quote from the article in the Telegraph about Apple. Basically says, Ben Wood, a long-term Apple watcher, says that Apples and smartphones are getting closer to washing machines where people don't buy them and replace them until they're broken. People are keeping their devices longer. And I thought that was fascinating and certainly resonated with me. Third, BlackRock, the huge investment firm run by Larry Fink, is cutting 600 jobs out of its 20,000 positions. It's down to $9.1 trillion in assets under management, still a huge amount. Certainly from my perspective, I'm thrilled to see Larry Fink talk less about ESG every day and more about running the business and what they have to do there. Fourth, Boeing, down 8% or so yesterday, has its 737 MAX 9 grounded. In the U.S., it's largely United Airlines and Alaska Airlines that use the planes. Boeing has about 173 of these in operation worldwide, so not too bad in the big scheme of things. Hewlett-Packard, HP, was down yesterday 9%. Juniper Networks, who it's looking to acquire, was up 21%. So we'll see how that plays through. Again, Juniper Networks up on news. Six, two of the podcasts released yesterday that we just love some of the concepts on, not necessarily my podcast on, but the concepts on them. One is called Don't Underestimate the Young Executive. This was inspired by a brilliant young CFO I had a chance to visit with last week. Second was 3 keys to judging a leader. One is the results the leader delivers. Second is how many leaders does he or she develop? And third, how does the organization do after he or she leaves the organization or retires? So those were some of the concepts there. Seventh, congratulations to long-term leader of HSS, Hospital for Special Surgery, Lou Shapiro, on joining several high-profile boards. Lou's an extremely competent, brilliant executive. Eighth, Bitcoin opens close to 46,000 today. It's had quite the run-up. Ninth, the 10-year Treasury yield hovers right above 4%. It's starting to look attractive for long-term savers. People are a little bit concerned about, do they buy them and see rates hike up again and then see them devalued, but it's starting to look like attractive rates for a 10-year. 10th, Lululemon's up 62% over the last year. I can tell you, I just bought these new Lululemon sweats that I absolutely love, and we'll see. I mean, they've had a hard time replacing some of the old ones. I always try and buy other brands, some I like, some I hate, but big fans of these new ones that they've come out with. 11th, the 5 largest market cap stocks in the U.S. It's amazing how close Microsoft is to Apple. Apple's at $2.88 trillion. Microsoft at $2.79 trillion, Alphabet, Google at $1.773 trillion, Amazon at $1.564 trillion, and NVIDIA keeps on growing. It's at $1.31 trillion. I inadvertently said $13.1 trillion in my LinkedIn message, but it's $1.31 trillion. Separate post we had in, on 5 stories we're watching at Becker's Healthcare. We'll talk about that separately. And finally, 3 stats from Benzinga. These are 3 stats they highlight, and they're fascinating. One is that surveys say to be considered wealthy in America, people think that number is $2.2 million. Second, the median net worth in the country. That means half the people are above it, half are below it, is $192,000. And these stats are greatly skewed by the handful or the amount of people that have way more than that versus way less than that. And so it's sort of fascinating numbers. Third is the average net worth, about $1.05 million. And again, that's a number that's heavily skewed. You've got billionaires on one hand and lots of people that are impoverished on the other hand. So not really necessarily overall interest stats, but sort of there's a lot more to those stats than that. But again, to be considered wealthy, 2.2 million. The median net worth, 192,000. The average net worth, 1,050,000 or something like that. Fascinating numbers. Thank you for listening to the Becker Private Equity Business Podcast. Always looking for comments, 773-766-5322. If you're the first person to comment on this, let me know, and we will send you a $100 Amazon gift certificate. You can't be someone who claims the gift certificate in the last couple months. Thank you so much.